glad AI's coming around so that.
Yeah, I don't forget that shit. Okay, we're live on Twitch.
I'm looking at Twitch now. Okay, there we are. Okay, so your webcam does work. It just doesn't work in Discord.
Yeah. I don't know why.
Yeah, that's very strange.
It is very strange. Maybe I just need to restart my computer or something.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. We can see you on the stream. So. Now, do you like my Do you like what I've done with my streamer background? I moved my board games up here.
It's very cute, James. I like it a lot.
I haven't. It needs like proper lighting and stuff, but like it's good. The problem is like at this angle, you can only see my These are my like third tier games.
Mm-hmm.
Like the bookshelf, the way the bookshelf works is that every shelf is a different tier of game, and I look at each shelf and I say, oh, if there's a game on this shelf that's better than a game on that shelf, I move them around, and that way you can look and you can tell what kind of games I like.
So that's, wait, what tier is it? B tier?
No, that's like C tier.
Oh,
Like
ouch.
this shelf here is like the C tier
Okay.
game. But you know what? I will say, like, even though there's C tier, it's not really A tier, B tier, C tier. It's like tiers that are governed by the amount of space on the shelf, right? So it's not necessarily like these are bad games. I actually don't think these are bad games. I look at most of this shelf and I would actually play any of these games if anyone asked me to. You know, it's not like games I want to avoid. It's just the ones above are better. That's all. I just find them better.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense.
And then right at the top is all my favorite games. So Dominion's up there, for example.
S tier.
Yeah, exactly. Terraforming Mars is up there. It's like any games that are on the top 10 list for the year go on the top of the shelf.
It sounds like it's S A and the one I see is the B tier. B tier is respectable. People sleep on B tier, but B tier is good. B tier isn't bad.
I think so. I think we got S tier, A tier, and I think we've got like upper B tier. This is like upper B tier, and then this is lower B tier.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
Yeah.
So Splendor is an A tier. That makes sense.
No, it's upper B tier.
Wait, how many?
Oh, this isn't. You said isn't. I thought you said.
No, I did. I said is. Wait, how many shelves are there? I'm confused now.
Oh yeah, there's more. There's like there's another shelf, and then there's the top of the bookshelf. Wait, actually.
Oh, okay, that makes sense now. I see.
Yeah, I should probably use Discord to point the camera.
I see.
The lag is making it hard to aim.
Really? Dixit is an S tier? No, A tier. That's A tier.
Yeah,
Okay,
I think Dixit's a fantastic social game.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Yeah, Onitama's an A tier. It better be.
Onitama's A tier. I mean, it was in the top 10 the year before. This year it didn't make it, but it might get back. I'm not sure.
Apiary.
Dune Imperium. Dune Imperium's very good.
Gaia.
I like it. It was a lot of fun.
Wait, is Gaia the game we played with Eric?
Is it? Yeah, I think so. The one where you make the planet.
Yeah. That's a fun game. I like that game.
I really like that game. I think it's very tight. Yeah. There's some games that I look at and I'm like, you're never leaving, and then there's other games I look at that I'm like, you know, given a few years down the road, I can see you moving down. I get bored. You know.
Yeah, it happens.
This is the garbage tier game. So. Well, this is like C tier, but like in my opinion, they're mostly garbage tier, especially Wingspan.
Really, Wingspan?
Yeah, I fucking hate Wingspan. Like Wingspan's fine. Like the reason it makes me so angry is because it's not a terrible game. I mean, like it's not a terrible game, but it has like some really fundamental flaws that really piss me off. Like stupid stuff that I'm like, I don't. For the amount of hype it gets, like. I don't agree that the design is that good, actually. I think there's a lot of problems with it.
Ouch. Scathing.
Yeah. Well, because, like I'll tell you, I have one major problem. There's a few smaller issues as well, but, like, my biggest issue with Wingspan, have you played Wingspan before?
No, I have not.
Okay, so, I mean, it's worth playing. Like, it's got, like, this cool mechanic that's kind of interesting the first time you ever see it. But one of the problems is that, like, in Wingspan, you basically get points by, like, either plucking cards, building birds, laying eggs, or caching food. Okay, so these are like the four things where you like gain points in the game, and that's fine. Like the all of these things are also resources you use in the game, right? Like in the sense that food is a resource you use to buy birds, but you can also convert it into points by cashing it on birds, right?
Right.
So like and all the resources are kind of like this where they can actually be converted into points. Um, the problem is that they use cards as a resource, um, and the cards like are complicated. They have writing on them, so you have to read. You have to read like the whole card to see what it does. And if you're trying to play optimally, and you have a strategy that involves tucking cards, when you tuck cards, it doesn't matter what's on the card. You just get a point for it for tucking it under another card. But in order to get the cards, you have three available that you can see. So if you've got like a strategy where you draw like five cards in your turn and you're trying to play optimally, you're gonna read every fucking card just to tuck like 90% of them, right? And so it just majorly slows down the game because someone is like, okay, I've got to read the cards. Or I'm not playing optimally. That's just stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to not play optimally. So then, and they should, and I agree that they should totally do this. And so then they read the cards and they go, okay, like I'll take that one. Okay, let's keep going. Let's cycle the next one. Okay, I'll take this one. Okay, let's cycle the next. You know what I mean? Um,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
and yeah, and so like that mechanic is just bad design. Like it's just straight up not a good thing to do in a game. Um, because like I understand like why you would think it was a good thing to do in a game, and I'm not like angry that someone tried this because I've seen it in like other games too before, but fundamentally it's like one of those things that I look at and I'm like, this is like just a piece of bad design, you know?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Maybe not immediately obvious bad design, but once you like play the game enough times, it's not great, you know. It's also very solitaire. Like, like you can basically play it alone, or you can play it alone next to other people, right?
That sounds.
Because
Yeah. Okay. I see.
yeah, there's not very much player interaction. There's a little bit, but there's not tons. That being said, like a lot of Euro games are kind of like that, to be honest.
Yeah. That's what I. Just what I was thinking in my head when I saw Battle Wizards behind you.
Yeah. Well, Battle Wizards isn't solitaire.
No, that's what I mean. It's not like a Euro game, but it's like directly PvP.
Oh yeah, yeah. Battle Wizards is like straight up.
Yeah, yeah. I like those kinds of games. I prefer pure PvP games over like um over Euro games mostly.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny because I don't like. I actually have a very specific kind of game that I like,
It's because you're a
and
little bitch. You don't like
but
the.
you know, it's not true. Like I like there to be PvP and I like there to be blocking. Like I think my favorite game. There's two games I really like right now. One's called El Grande, and the other one's called Brass. And
Mhm.
Brass is really cool. Like it's you're building your own thing, but you're building it between other people's stuff, and you can like block them and shit because there's like roads and transport pathways that you're building. So you can like really fuck people over by like building a road on the wrong place and making it yours instead of theirs, right? Um, and that's super super fun. Uh,
One sec, Tom just woke up. I'm sorry.
no worries. Okay. So Matt just left. He's got twins. So one woke up, got to put him to sleep. So I think what I'll do right now, and I'm kind of just talking to myself because I can't really monitor the chat at the same time. Gotta find a better way to do this. But what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna keep developing and maybe just try and say what I'm doing as I'm going. So basically, for anyone who's not been in the stream before, what me and Matt are doing is we're two people, we're trying to make video games together, and currently we are trying. Oh, where'd you go? Did you disappear?
Hello.
Oh, you're back. You're back.
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool. I was talking to myself.
That's fine.
Yeah. Well, I was talking to myself. I was trying to explain what we were doing about how we're like making roguelikes and stuff. We're trying to roguelike board game mechanics,
Hell yeah.
and we're using Unity and all that. But now that you're back, maybe I could just show you what I got done last week.
I have to soundproof my office because it's like I think I make too much noise.
Yeah, probably. I thought so.
Yeah.
I thought it would be hard for the babies. They're like super attuned to your voice too, you know?
And my office is like right next to their. Well, you know where my office is.
Yeah, exactly. Your office is like right next to it. So maybe you could stream from the basement instead. I don't know. But I guess you gotta be able to listen to them.
Well, Eve could do that actually. But yeah, there's a I'm just gonna get a bunch of soundproofing shit, and I'll soundproof the shit out of my office, and then they won't be able to hear me. It'll be perfect.
Yeah, that's cool.
My desk is way too heavy to carry downstairs. Like, holy shit.
Yeah. You can soundproof it. Like, it'll work. Like, you just need to get like those weird. It's like foam, right? Like,
yeah.
It just needs to make the sound bounce in random directions and like the energy to dissipate itself.
For now, everyone gets to enjoy my sexy ASMR voice, though.
Yeah, here we are.
I hope everyone viewing likes it. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'll be known for. And then when... Oh, Tom is still awake. Wait, is he gonna go back to sleep? That's the question. He's been having so much trouble lately. I feel bad for him, poor baby.
Is it because he's teething?
Honestly, I have no idea at this point. It's been like 2 weeks now.
You know. Fuck, I wish I had a better way to move around the scene view when I'm using this. You know?
Okay, let me try again. Give me a sec.
Yeah, no worries. I gotta practice. I have a keyboard. I have like a split keyboard where like I can control the mouse with my with the keyboard itself. So like all these mouse movements are just through the keyboard. I never touch a mouse, but I can never remember the controls in Unity to like rotate.
I think he might have put himself back to sleep.
Oh, there we are.
I'm still here.
Oh, okay, cool. Very cool. Yeah, my ability to move around Unity right now is majorly hampered. I need to like figure this shit out. I had this like nice remote thing. Like I don't know if I ever showed it to you, but this thing here, like you see it on camera.
Mm-hmm.
This thing is really good when it works, but it's so like the company. I don't think they're doing super well, and they haven't like built the tooling out for Unity.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to like tweak like a library I found on GitHub, and it worked, and then it stopped working, and I can't get it to work. It's super annoying, but it's super great when I have that thing because it just lets me move around the scene so easily.
Oh my god, that sounds annoying.
Yeah, I like when I'm just using my keyboard like this, it's so freaking hard to like get anywhere. Like, I mean, it's sort of working, I guess. Okay, so I can zoom in and out. I can move like this way, and I right click and I rotate. That's good enough for now for what we're doing. It's fine. Anyway, most of the stuff is gonna happen down here. So anyway, so what did I do? And just yell at me, Matt, if you need to run away again, and I'll stop explaining to you what I did.
Yeah. Yep, no worries. I think he's okay now.
Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm going in and out of play mode, and I kind of like created like an architecture, I guess, for visuals that I've been using to create like prototyping visuals that I'm going to use to build the game. Okay. And like the things that I've been focusing on is like how to go fast and how to make things that are kind of like more editor space oriented than like um like having to code shit to get them to work. But what that entails really is just having like a good code already written that drives them, I guess, and like relatively generic stuff. So just to show you, like right now, I have the Wanderer, who's gonna be like the people that go to the paths, each step of the path. I have the Fruit, which is just an hexagon at the moment. I have the Step, which is like gonna be each step in the path is gonna be one of these things, and like this thing up here just represents where it just represents where Fruit is gonna go, I guess, like fruit that's hanging above it. Um, but that isn't the fruit. That's just where it's gonna go. And then I have this path, which is like a special thing, which kind of, it's a collection of these things in order, and then it like automatically generates a path for me, right?
Gotcha.
By taking these things together. Oh, and I guess I didn't represent this end piece one. The end piece is like where all the end players can go, and then it also tells you for the next level what the next fruits and players are going to be, you know. But what I realized is that in Unity, there isn't a good
Hello.
way to have like 3D objects in a line that automatically
Oh shit.
work.
Okay, one sec. I'm sorry. I'll be right back again.
Okay. Yeah, so just to demonstrate that, and I'll show him that when he gets back. So basically, you have a container right like this, and every time, we have a thing that actually. So these disks. Container, arrange children in both. There we are. Okay, cool. It is working. Do that. Let's do that. That's good. So I'm in edit mode right now. I don't know why I wanted this so badly, but I really, really wanted it to look properly. So this is just a container. Why is that happening? It's because I'm in a prefab. Okay, let's do this. Let's go. Prefab. Opening context. Is there a way to do this without having to go to that menu? Is that opening in context? I don't think that's opening in context. Oh, I guess that was opening in context actually. Have a look. Opening context. Yeah, that's totally doing that. I hate the way that's going me in here. Let's go up here. Totally open this guy in context too. Prefab, opening context. There you go. Look at that. So I have this thing here, an enemy multi-zone, or just a multi-zone. That one's just named that, but at the end of the day, it's a simple zone, which is a multi-zone container thingy. Okay.
Hey, baby, I'm back.
You're back. Okay, cool. You're right. You're right. As I was about to show some stuff.
Sorry for anyone whose ears I'm assaulting by moving the mic so close to my face. I need an arm. I need like an arm like you have.
Yeah, if you got one of those.
So what were you saying about lining objects up? What was up with that? What do you mean?
Wait, say that again. What's the question?
When you were saying there's no good way to line up 3D objects in Unity?
Yeah. There's no component, because I asked Perplexity and I went looking around and stuff because I didn't want to rewrite anything that was already there.
Mm-hmm.
But for example, like this component here, it's probably not that obvious right now, but basically this is like this line I just put in so that it's clear that something is there.
Mm-hmm.
And then these disks are like example objects to show you that this entire thing this multi-zone thing. I don't know if you can see that like only these dots in this line is underlined, right? This is the component, okay? This is the component I'm working on right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's in 3D space because we're going to do stuff in 3D, like we've talked about this before. So I'm not going to do anything outside of 3D space, even if I'm rendering it 2D like this, right? And that's going to be easier. We're going to build a framework better for 3D if we do that. But I just wanted a thing that like if there were four objects, it would equally space them around a center point in 3D. That's all I want. Doesn't exist. It's nothing. Like you have to make it yourself every time.
If you wait,
Right.
repeat that last bit. What?
Maybe I'll show you. I'll show you what it does, and then you'll understand.
Okay.
So these disks are in 3D space right now. Okay, and if I copy paste them a few times, because I'm in editor mode, it doesn't automatically update. But if I click this handy button here, arrange children, it's going to show you what this does. See? See how it like lerped them? It like interpolated them automatically to, equal spacing.
Mm-hmm.
That's useful for me because when I'm prototyping, there's going to be many situations where I have to present multiple pieces of information as icons and shapes and stuff, right? Especially if I'm making board games, if I want to have like different kinds of gems above a treasure chest, the only thing I really need to do is say there's 3 gems over this treasure chest and they're equally spaced in space, right? And so that doesn't exist. It's not a component that's built into Unity. So I built it myself.
Oh. Oh yeah. Okay. And that's it.
You know what
Is
I'm
that?
saying?
Yeah. Yeah. I understand. Is that?
So basically the component lets you just space things however you decide, like however you want. So you want it to be like a diagonal like this, and this is a 3-dimensional diagonal right now. You want it to be 1 extra step on the Z, you want it to be 1 less on the X's. I'll say 0 on the Z. Then 1.1 on both of these.
Wait. So it was a problem, but now it's not a problem anymore.
No, it's not a problem anymore. This
Okay.
is this part of the work I did.
Okay.
I just built this thing.
Dude, you should work for Unity. It seems like you can solve a lot of problems for them.
Yeah, I wish working for Unity meant that if you got to choose what problems you solve. But yeah. But anyway, so I built this like little thing. I mean, it's very simple, but I was really adamant that in edit mode, because you've got edit mode and play mode in the editor, right?
Mm-hmm.
And in play mode, you have access to the update loop. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So when you use a mono behavior and you do void update, that's because the play mode is running the updates for you.
Yeah.
But in editor mode, you don't have that. And I was adamant on making this lerp in editor mode too, so I wasted a bit of time on that. But it does work.
One of my students told me that there was something equivalent.
Okay, well, can you ask him what it is so that he can tell me, because I can find it.
I
I
will.
looked for like 20 minutes and then decided, fuck it, I'll just do it myself. But also, you know what though? Like, I bet if there's something equivalent, I bet it doesn't work in editor mode, and I bet it doesn't use like asynchronous programming the way I want it to use it.
Mm-hmm.
So, to be honest, like, we probably needed to do this manually. But all this to say, all this just to kind of show that, like, I've been building out these visuals and like these visual tools to kind of help with prototyping. That's really the whole point of this.
Gotcha.
Is that I'm gonna like everything is gonna be kind of like compositions of these sorts of things, in the sense that like, oh my god, it's like the next one that I delete. Here we go. In the sense that the more of these kinds of tools we have, the less of them we should have to build, because most of the time we'll have like a little prototypical thing that will be good enough to represent the information. Because the one thing, as I started building the prototype for Genkido, I realized that the one thing I didn't really have was like a visualization piece of the framework for simple visuals like this, and how they work. And so that's basically what I've been working on. Another thing to show is that like every time I load right now, like every visual is gonna define some sort of data, right? And that data is gonna be what you need to give it in order for it to load up properly. Okay. And so an example of data, and the actually the only data that I'm passing to visuals right now, just to like get the ball rolling on this kind of stuff, is color. Okay, so the fruit token, for example, it's a visual that loads using color data. And so you can see this by hovering over the fruit, and I've tried to expose as much as I can to the editor. And you can see in this loading state, like what the load data is, okay? And in this case, it's a color. If I go to a path, I think the load data is probably more complex. It is, look. The load data is something, oh no, let's not do path, that's a bit more complicated. I meant step, okay. If we look at the loading for the step, the load data is different. The load data is two colors. It's the step color and the ring color. Okay. The reason this is significant and the reason I'm mentioning this at all is because I'm kind of going with this paradigm that like, and maybe this sounds like way too low level and stuff, and you can tell me if it does, but we're gonna be loading and unloading visuals, and we're gonna be recycling them. Okay. The reason that I implemented this recycling stuff was just because everybody tells me that you should pool objects in Unity. Just everyone says that because every time you destroy an object, you have to do this thing called allocating memory, and allocating memory is slow. Okay. So I never destroy objects, really. I just kind of create them, and then when like the object is no longer needed, it kind of goes into like the recycling bin to be used again later. But every time it's reused, it's loaded with different data, if that makes sense.
So if you have like a blue fruit, and then your player picks it up, instead of destroying it, you put it somewhere else, and then when you need a new blue fruit, you just bring that blue fruit back.
Exactly. So let's say yeah, exactly. If the player consumes the fruit, right, you don't need the fruit object anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But all you do is you call unload. So like just to explain, like all of these things with invoke next to them here, these are functions that exist in the class. So if you don't, like, for example, I have an unload here, and this is a function somewhere in the in this class, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it maps directly to code, basically. So if I click unload, you see how it disappears?
Yeah.
So the fruit still exists up here, right? But what's happened is it's gone into the unloaded state, which means that all of its renderers are turned off. And actually the renderer is hidden for this, but also its colliders are turned off, right? So it can't be interacted with. For example, I think it's feedback. It doesn't actually need turning off the feed. Oh, the feedbacks are turned off, right? But that's just because feedbacks, you turn them on to make them happen.
So, okay.
And then later on, when you want to load it again, and you're going to do this from code, you're not going to do this in the inspector. The point of the inspector stuff is just so that we can not mess around with code as much as possible when we're debugging. So like let's say we need new fruit later, right? And so I'll make a red fruit now. If I invoke load, now we have a red fruit, okay? But the fruit never, like, technically the instance of the fruit never changed, but for all intents and purposes, from a user's perspective, it's a completely new object, right? So the way that the system is built right now, this is just built in. Like, you don't have to do very much extra work from the programming side to make this happen. It's all just built into the way that like the game is built. And so I've just been building props around these concepts to see how that will go, and it's going pretty well. Like, these props are pretty useful at this point, and I can probably start actually building out the logic to the game soon. When it comes to like the end pieces, they look a bit funny right now. Point of the end pieces is just that they have, like, this is probably the most complicated object I've made so far. But the point is that it has like the fruit zone and the player zone, so that we can hover some fruits above it. Yeah, what I'll do is I'll just copy some fruits out, and I'll just scale them down a bit so I can show you what I'm talking about. We'll make them tiny fruits like this. Okay, so we got these tiny fruits here, and they're all tokens, and I created this idea of tokens and zones. Okay, um, tokens are things that go into zones, and zones are the thing that hold tokens. You following so far?
Yes.
So because of this, there's like an abstract class, which means that a lot of different things can be tokens, right? Without having to recode all the logic for it. Um, and so there's an abstract class called token, and the wanderer is a token, and the fruit are tokens. And there's also an abstract class called zones, right? And so right now we have this fruit multi-zone here, and this is a zone, and zones can accept tokens. Okay. So all I have to do to test this from editor is I kind of go here, I throw in that, and I invoke the thing, and then the zone accepts the token, and the token moves to the zone. I'll do it again. Now I need another fruit in there. Now that goes into the zone, right? Next one. That goes into the zone. Great, cool. So not incredibly exciting right now, but what's cool about this is that all of the zones, like there's actually more zones in here too. So I'll click this. For example, this is a zone. It's the steps have a player zone and a fruit zone. So let me, it's a fruit zone. Let's move a little fruit onto it. Here's my fruit zone. Invoke. Okay. Oh, that one's fucked up. I guess I gotta fix that one. Let's do the player zone instead. Like that didn't work, but that's because there's probably a bug in the way my zone is set up. But if I set up this zone here, for example, there, so it goes to the player zone, right? It zooms straight to where it needs to be. This is just like any zone can accept any token, and that's just how the system is built. And so now I don't need to ever recode when I'm prototyping like the game. I don't have to recode any lerping logic, right? Now in the logic of the game, when I start building out the actual like game state machines, I'm just gonna say, okay, spawn these tokens with this prefab. You need to spawn this many zones. The player click this, that means this token moves to this zone, right? And so it's gonna be way more semantic in the way the code is written. It's just gonna be like zone dot accept token.
So, no matter no, like, I guess it's not so much a question of how it works, but like, so no matter what the board looks like, no matter what the, like, what location, whatever piece is moving to, it's just like, as long as you have one part designated as a zone and one part designated as a token, that zone, it can lerp to that zone.
Yeah, exactly. It will just work. And it's up to the state machine. It's up to your game logic to decide when tokens can go to certain zones, right? Like, it's not up to the visuals to know what can be accepted by them. So, like, in the actual game rules, only certain tokens can go to certain zones. But that's just up to the game rules to enforce. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Yeah. And so, like, I'm hoping that from these kinds of concepts, we might need more concepts. I don't think, like, this is the end of these kinds of things, but I think just from tokens and zones and loading and unloading, we'll pretty much get everything we need. And interaction, actually. So there's also the interaction aspect, which they have built in as well.
God damn. That's beautiful. That's yeah.
Right.
Yummy. That
Yeah. All very generic. Yeah. They're all like kind of composed of the same things. See how that interacts, and that interacts the same way, and that interacts the same way. They're like, I didn't recode the same interaction to all of these. They all just have it.
How hard would it be to change that lerp to a smooth step?
I'll make it easy.
Okay, cool.
Like, wait, what do you mean a smooth step? Like, what do you?
I mean, like, ease in, ease out, because lerp is linear, like the movement's linear.
Oh, they are easy in and ease out. Sorry, I just say lerp because that's bad terminology. What I
Oh,
need to say is interpolation. Um,
right, right. Okay,
yeah.
gotcha.
They are easing in and easing it out. So, oh yeah. So actually, I kind of think I understand where you're going. I just started working on the next step of this, which is the lerp service, where I wanted to provide you with curves, um, with named, like, basically the game will have like the game's gonna have we're gonna be able to label each interpolation in the game. Maybe I shouldn't call this the lerp service. I should call it the interpolation service. I'll rename that later. But the lerp service or the interpolation service will be able to have all of the named lerps specific to the game in a list here, right? So Wanderer lerp and fruit lerp, or like fruit move to segment lerp, fruit move to uh, end piece reward lerp, whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'll be able to just make these, give them all names, and then you can just change them, right? Like you can literally just change all the curves in one scriptable object to the top of the project, and it will just change all the lerps across the whole project and how they interpolate. Whether they're easy and ease outs, whether they even like bounce a bit, that kind of stuff.
Sounds like you're
Right.
making Unreal.
Um, well, this isn't even that hard, honestly. Like
Mm-hmm.
this part, like hooking this all up. That's like the good thing about Unity is that these kinds of things, when you need to make them, like it's annoying that they're not built in, but when you need to make them to create your own workflow, it's relatively simple. You know, um, like this was like the last thing I did the other day, and it took like 5 minutes. Um, but yeah, this isn't hooked up to anything though, so I guess it's not really that impressive to be honest. Um, but but yeah, um, yeah. So that's like what I've been working on, gearing up to like building the actual game logic for the game.
Gotcha.
Um, there's a lot of stuff in here, like there's a lot of work done in here. I've even started doing things like, for example, like we you can create. I guess I didn't mention this yet, but I've added a new term to our terminology that we should probably talk about. I was trying to think of like a good name for like visuals or controllers or whatever we wanted to call them. Um, and I've decided to call them props. And I think that makes sense. Do you agree?
Uh, I think so. Yes.
So, but what I mean by that is like a prop is any individual piece that is used to visualize the data in the game, I guess. So
Yeah.
that's a prop. That's a prop. That the path segment's a prop. The path itself is a prop, right? So props can contain other props and stuff. Um, yeah, and so in the architecture of props, I have like the token, the zone, and then the prop, which is the more base level thing. And all props are loadable and interactable. That's the rule.
Okay.
So whenever I build a prop, for sure, like it's for free, it's gonna have the loading section in the edit in the inspector and the interaction section in the inspector. Um, and it's gonna be able to like you're gonna be able to set it to interactable or not interactable. Um, and so then I started thinking like, oh wait, I can make a standard prop where you don't have to code, you don't have to make most of what you're making. You can just kind of do things in the same way over and over. So I kind of started working on that. So you see how like the Wanderer and the Fruit, they have like the feedbacks thing here, and then they have this presence object. And then beneath that, they have rendering and then the collider. This is just sort of a way to organize. Yeah, it's just a way to organize what you're doing, basically.
Okay.
Um,
I think I see what you're getting at here.
yeah, and I created these components, for example, the renderer collector. So basically, I can put any number of renderers beneath this rendering object, which it could like you could put meshes in that are 3D. You could put in like sprites if you want to. You put whatever you want as long as it's underneath this. It will work with the system perfectly because the only thing that the system cares about for renderers is when to disable them and when to enable them. You know,
Right. Yep. 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 Yep.
and stuff like that. And so like this is gonna have to expand because you're gonna have VFX and stuff, and animators. Like I haven't thought about how the VFX and animators kind of work into this just yet, but that's something we can work on together. Because for me, when I'm prototyping from the programming point of view, I only really care about show something on screen that's good enough.
Hmm.
So shapes, like stupid, simple shapes, and make sure they move to where they need to be. You know, and they can't teleport. If they teleport, you can't tell what's going on, so they have to lerp. Um, yeah,
Why can't they teleport?
because if they teleport, because I've done it, I've built things like this with teleporting before, and it's very confusing.
Oh, just
It's
because of game feel. Okay.
Yeah, like there, it's even that when you're prototyping, you need a certain amount of game feel, or
Mhm.
you would just do it in the console, right?
Yep.
And you just commands, and like that's not a good way to test the game or prototype the game.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah. I agree with that for sure. 100%. Yeah.
yeah. So what I'm going for, and what you should expect from the actual game when it's out, it's like shit that looks like this, and then you know, things that lurk between different things, basically. Um, but what's kind of cool about this, maybe I'll show you something else, is that um, what feedback lets you do as an artist from your side is pretty easily in a centralized place. Um, Design the feedback however the hell you want. So maybe I'll just show you what I'm talking about. So when I say feedback, I'm talking about the library now.
You're talking about the feedback library.
Yeah, oh sorry, called Juice, the Juice library.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Like Juice has a lot of systems in it actually. I haven't gone through them all yet to see what tools they have, but they're good. Like they look really good. And the main one that I've been using though is for feedback, just meaning that like Juice kind of revolves around this concept of feedback. And
Mm.
it's just like you activate a feedback, and that feedback, you activate a feedback based on an event that occurs, and that feedback happens. So a feedback is like, oh, this sound plays, and the scale like wobbles into an animation, and then this animation plays, right? And then this V effect occurs, or particle effect.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
feedbacks, like the cool thing about it, and I think the reason that it's really useful, is because you have this MF player object that you just put somewhere, and you just set it up, okay? And you can add, so like if you click this button, add new feedback, you can add animations, audio, camera movements, like haptics for controllers, loops, lights, particle effects, right? Um, and you can just do it in one place,
Mm.
which is super super useful because you don't have to like mess around trying to find out like where shit is in the game object. Like all you have to do is come here and add your feedbacks and then maybe hook some stuff up, right?
And
Um,
are these feedbacks like actual like in-game feedbacks, or is this like prototyping?
no. This is like if you look at the videos, if you look at go on YouTube and look at like Juice, and look at the videos, like the feedback is crazy cool. Like it's in-game runtime feedback. Yeah.
Unity juice. Unity juice.
First thing. But like it's gonna take a bit of learning on some in some ways. But like I think it's definitely gonna be very useful. Because for example, camera shake. Let's try this one. So I've just added camera shake to the mouse enter feedback of my Wanderer. And then under camera shake you get all these settings, okay? So you gotta kind of learn like
Oh,
what
okay. Okay. This is like a built-in thing almost. Like it has
yeah, it's
a
an
bunch
easy
of shit.
yeah. Camera mode, camera shake. How does it know what camera? I guess it just takes the main camera. If I press play, It should show me what happens. Okay, null reference, not such an instance of object. Probably did that.
You fucking broke it.
No, it's gonna be like, where the hell is... See, this is what I mean by, like, you've got to actually learn how this all works. Oh, I know why. It's because it works with Cinemachine. Cinemachine's one I gotta look into, but Cinemachine we should use as well because it's very good. Let's try something else.
Isn't Cinemachine free?
Yeah, it is. It's part of Unity. It's just not.
Cinemachine's
Yeah,
pretty cool. I've used it a tiny little bit.
Ooh, maybe this Bloom. I think this will work because we're on URP, so it should just work. No, again, like there's something we gotta learn.
You probably don't have you're missing a volume or something.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah, there's this thing called channels. Like they're I gotta look into it a little bit more because I'm just like trying these things for the first time here.
So
Without
does this thing
reading the docs or anything.
Does this thing go to animation? Let me just see animation. I want to see the options there.
Yeah, animation it just points to an animator parameter.
Okay, so you can change animation parameters with this.
Yeah, exactly.
So I can drive my entire animator from this.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's pretty sick.
That's what I want it for, is stuff like that. But you can also do the camera shake and the bloom, so you just gotta... I'll look in setting that up, because I think once it's set up, it's mega simple. I'm just trying to look for one that might actually... Well, how about position shake? How about that? Position shake, we can't go wrong with this. This just operates over a transform, right? Still talking about the channel, though. That's what I don't understand. Because under the scale one, we just have this, like, scale mode, and then it animates a target transform. So is there a mode here? The position shake, no. You see anywhere at all to put in a... It needs an M position shaker. Okay, you know what? Let's just see what happens. Is an M position shaker something I can grab from here? Position shaker, oh it is. M position shaker right here. Okay, shaker setting. So crap. Target. Presence. Okay, it's gonna target itself. Okay, that's cool. Okay, that makes sense. And so that means I can probably just put that on there, right? And then if I press play, it should work. I don't know. There you go.
Oh, you did
See,
it.
You're shaking now, right? And so, like, and that's because of the way that my system works. It's hooked into the mouse enter event, right? So without having to change any code or anything, you know, now when you mouse enter, it does this instead, which is great, right? It's just an easier way to work, I think.
Okay, so basically each thing has its own feedback mouse scale generic, or its own like feedback game object that does all of that.
The way that I've sorted it out so far, and there's gonna have to be like more things added here, but I have in my simple. Let me explain this. I have the prop, like I said before, and then I have this thing called a standard prop. Okay, and a standard prop is like a standard way to build a prop. So it includes all this stuff, like a reference to the renderers and a reference to the colliders and a reference to the feedback. So when building a standard prop, the built-in standard is that props have mouse events only. That will probably have to, like, in time it won't just be mouse events. There'll probably be a lot of standard events, but for now it's just mouse events. And so this connection here is made, right? Where I've connected feedback to a simple token is a prop, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
It's a token.
Yeah, makes sense, right?
I've connected my feedback to my token, and that feedback is this thing here, which is a feedback parent. And a feedback parent just manages different feedback objects. And I thought, just for ease of use, that I would just make a game object per event type and name it that way. So
Gotcha.
on this, I've just, like, this object doesn't actually do anything, it's invisible, but it just holds the MF player so that we have like a physical space in the editor where we can see the mouse event and the mouse enter feedback, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so this thing, what this feedback parent does is it just lets you call like feedback parent dot mouse enter feedback, I guess. You know, it lets you tell it when to do certain different kinds of feedback. Um, yeah, and it has some tools too. Like I found it annoying to like keep changing the transform that I was targeting for the scale thing, so I put in this little button here that lets me set all of them in one shot. But anyway, but the cool thing is, like, the thing that I wanted to say to you is that the cool thing here is that, like, even though I'm prototyping, right? Um, you can go in whenever you want, and it doesn't matter when, and you can make all of our prototypes beautiful in a way. Um, Maybe not like in terms of like the things I create, the like the little like the way that I do the shapes and stuff. That doesn't really matter. But this feedback that you're seeing, this like scaling feedback here, no, 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 I'll show you. Like this way of like the mouse stuff working. I'm sure you can design a much better standard way for mouse interactions to look. That will pretty much work across everything. And all you have to do is change this one prefab and it's going to change everywhere. Because I've created prefabs that encapsulate like the feedbacks. So, and then I'm just using that prefab everywhere. So if you change like the if you update this prefab with better um, like feedback, better standard mouse event feedback events, um, it will just be in all the prototypes like that, you know?
Okay.
And so I kind of think what'll end up happening is that we'll be able to get to a point where our prototypes are pretty good, even though they're prototypes. You know, like they're pretty nice feeling, even though they're prototypes, because we'll be able to centralize a lot of like the common feedback events we use, and that way, if we're selling games on itch that we're not releasing for real as like little, you know, itch projects, they'll already be pretty nice and feel good.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. I get it. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's why I thought Juice was useful. That's why I thought it was a useful library. Um,
Yeah, it's also nice to have prototypes that just feel good to play around with too, right?
yeah, exactly, just for us and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And so this feedback parent object here, it's gonna like it just has mouse events right now, but it's gonna expand. Like if I go into the code, right now it just sort of has it has mouse events here, which it links up. So these are just the references. And then it gives me a way to say to give it a mouse event and have it call the right feedback.
Gotcha.
So I feed in the clicks and stuff into here. Yeah, and then that's just a little tool. But yeah, so a lot of that been going on this week.
Yeah, so you're kind of setting everything up to like be pretty a pretty short like feedback loop of prototyping.
Yeah, that's what I want. I want a short iteration loop, and I
Mhm.
just want the structure of the game to be as I want there to be obvious places that we just know. Well, maybe not obvious places, but places that we can point to and say all of like this kind of stuff is there. Change it there, and it will change everywhere, right? Um, and then we should be able to avoid overly complicated specific things that need doing, basically. That require you to go to weird parts of the scene structure or something to fix.
Gotcha.
Um, yeah, and like what I would really like is for us to have a sort of two-step process where I build the prototype, and if the prototype gameplay is good, you can just go on top of that and very easily layer on the art, you know, without having to do tons and tons of work to get it from horrible prototype mode land into like good looking game land.
Mm-hmm.
I want the prototypes to be like a skeleton basically, um, and then the art to be like the meat on the bone, um, without having to change the structure at all.
Right. That makes sense. I'm
Yeah.
wondering if ever we're gonna like, well, not if ever, but um, I feel like we can get to the point where we have enough generic like game board assets that we've built ourselves where we can actually build prototypes out of like pre-made 3D assets, kind of like tabletop sim.
Yeah, I think we will be able to do that. I
Yeah.
think we'll 100% be able to do that actually. Because think about it, like fruit, right? Like I think about it like in the sense that board games themselves do this, right? Like so many board games have cubes, like colored cubes. That's a piece, right?
Mm.
Or or meeples. Like you know what meeples are?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so like meatballs and stuff. And so what we're gonna end up having, I think we should actually build some of these basic things. Like this fruit here, I made it a hexagon in shapes, but that could just be a cube, right? Like it could be our standard Jankel cube.
Yeah.
Okay. And then this guy could be our standard Jankel meeple. There's no reason that that couldn't be true. Um, and to switch that in even now would be super easy. You just have to like in this wanderer here, this is a prefab, the wanderer. All you need to do is go into here and change this disk and triangle, delete them, and throw in your mesh, and everything would work fine.
Right.
You know, and maybe
I,
change the size of the collider.
yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's something to think about for sure. Because I'm thinking like we should maybe not this game, maybe next game or the game after. Start thinking about that like bunch of generic assets that we can make.
Yeah, yeah, we should. I actually, to be honest with you, I don't even think we need to think about it because I think um, the games we create we will create assets that basically just are generic assets,
Yeah.
and we'll just drag them from the game folder into the framework folder. You know?
Well, I think you're right. I think we should be building games out of generic assets until we decide to lock a game in that we want to like complete,
Yeah,
right? Yeah.
I agree. And like, just because something's a generic asset, right? Like, if we make a generic asset, and we use that in the game, there's nothing stopping us from changing it to a non-generic asset later,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like I'm trying my best to set up the structure that you can just do that. And actually that's how I think we should work. Like we should build everything out of generic assets. The better our generic assets, the more fun it is for us in general because we're looking at a prettier thing right away. And so it'll make the game feel a little better um, right away just because it looks better even in prototype mode. Um, and then what we should do is we should just identify all the assets that we want to change, make a list, and then just over time switch them out.
Mm-hmm.
Like every time you switch one out, um, the game should still run exactly the same way it did before,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
right. And
We're
so I think that's how we should try to build things.
we're building a better tabletop sim.
We're not really building tabletop sim because the point of tabletop sim is that you run the game yourself, right? Like
Yeah.
that you're just using the fact that like real life board games are physics based and tabletop sim is also physics based.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a virtual physics based gaming experience, which is virtual board games, right? Um, what we're doing is more like trying to create a snowball effect so that we can spend time creating games rather than coding the code and stuff that we need to run them.
Yeah. Yeah. That totally makes sense.
Yeah. To a
Um,
certain extent, we can't avoid certain parts of the code being written every time, but
Yeah. 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 I think most games will have like their unique mechanics and stuff at some point, right?
yeah, they will. And it's actually impossible for them not to. Like, we're always going to have to write. The part that we're always going to have to write is going to be the state machines. Um, the game always has state machines, and
Mm-hmm.
you can't avoid writing those. Um, but that's okay. This is what we're trying to identify. I kind of feel like it's a bit like an iceberg in a way where What I want is I want the tip of the iceberg to be something that we have to recreate every time.
Yeah.
Okay. And I want us to be able to write down exactly what that is. Like, when we create a new game, what do we definitely need to recreate? And it's going to be the state machines, what kind of data is used, um, what else? AI, probably the behavior of AI, and then the content, right? Like these things you can't not create every single time, right? Um, but a lot of the other stuff you don't have to keep redoing. You can just like do it once and then put it somewhere in a smart way that's organized, and then you can just keep reusing it.
Seems like even the AI is something we'll be able to like auto generate as well at some point.
Yeah, we will. I mean, to an extent, like the trick to the AI, the trick to getting the AI to be as easy to make as possible is how you define the rules of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what it comes down to, because there's a way to define the rules in a way that's friendly to ML, and I kind of know how to do that now because of the ML stuff we did on Jankvertafel.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um, but also Monte Carlo is a good technique. Monte Carlo is randomly simulating the game and just choosing the move that did best.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
that's a really quick. You don't even have to wait for it to learn. You can just have that right away,
Mm-hmm.
and that I think will work with the same. Like I think I can make a Monte Carlo thing that will work similarly, like over similar data that the ML stuff works on.
Huh.
So we should be able to get that for free. But I'm kind of thinking that there's going to be games, and I think most of our games potentially, where you don't want an AI that just knows how to play. You want an AI that has like really specific behavior, like in other games,
Yeah.
and that's actually more fun.
Yeah.
Uh, but
Yeah,
we're
you're
gonna have to
totally
figure
right.
out.
Yeah, you're totally right. Yeah, yeah. Like a more aggressive or more defensive kind of thing, right?
Exactly. And so for
Yeah.
prototyping, we're definitely going to be able to have. Oh, you don't even have to do that work. Uh, Pieces of the puzzle like the AI. We won't need to do the AI because I'll always write the games in such a way that we can Monte Carlo the AI. But what we might find is that in to actually complete the game, the AI is a part that is something we always have to rewrite because of the behavior, especially bosses and stuff.
Yeah, because bosses are, yeah, depending on the game, could be super unique.
Yeah,
Yeah.
on the game, like really depending on the game. I
Yeah.
think if we get to a squad combat game, then almost definitely we will need to do that.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
if ever we end up there.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, and so like I think it's really cool for us to like think about how there's this like I kind of use the project view as a visual, okay, and I have the Django framework down here, and then I have the project up here in assets, okay. This is the tip of the iceberg. This is the large piece underneath that eventually should not shift very much and should be the foundation of all of our games.
So that's how icebergs work.
Yeah, exactly. That's how
Gotcha.
icebergs work.
Gotcha. That makes sense, though. Um, I think that this is going to be a very interesting experiment.
Yeah,
Not like 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 a very, I guess, because like I feel like the path of the indie dev is very much like just muscle through a single game, right?
yeah, it is.
Um, and we're not doing that at all.
No, we're not. And
So
like, I, we're not, but we should. We need to do both, I think.
at some point we will have to like muscle through a game. I think.
Yeah, but of
I
course we
think
will.
that's inevitable.
I think that's inevitable too. Um, but I will say that like the games we've done so far, um, has fed this like framework down here, this Jankel stuff, right?
Yeah,
Um,
Jankel.
yeah, in a way that's just like I can see it in the sense that like I can see how we're gonna make a good game one day.
I think
Like
so.
at least in terms of how the tech works. I don't know if we're gonna make a good game design wise. Like that's a different thing entirely. But in terms of how the tech works and how we're gonna be able to make it look and feel and how quickly we're gonna be able to do it, um, I can see it. I can see how it's possible.
Yeah.
Um, and that's exciting. Like that's one of the things that like kind of motivates me to keep
Mhm.
going as well.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know,
I like yeah. The bulk of our marketing should be like, "Good, but guys, the tech is really cool."
yeah, yeah, yeah. People care about that, I'm sure.
I don't think anyone does. I think people on Twitch might, if anyone's
No,
watching out
no,
there.
no one gives a shit about that. Are you joking? Like no one gives a fuck. Like they just want a game.
Yeah, that's
Um,
fair.
yeah, but like it takes a long time to build out these systems. Like for a week and a bit of work, like this isn't really that impressive, right? That I can like make things interpolate to spots. Like that's not really that impressive, but um, because it's kind of living the framework, next game it just exists.
Yeah,
And that's
exactly.
the real power here. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that just exist even now for making this Jankedo thing. And it's so cool to be able to like just use them and be like, oh fuck, it's done. Like it's just there now. It's not something I have to like work out again.
Yeah.
Um, which is really neat. So, do you want me to show you how um, we go about starting to build the actual game
Yes. That would
and
be
not just
cool.
the yeah, just not the prop playground?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think we'll have to argue about tooltips some other time.
We can argue about tooltips now if you have some specific things you want to say about
No,
tooltips.
I just want to have a stream that I title Heated Argument. Matt and
Oh,
James
okay.
debate tooltips. So we can clickbait people and then we're just having a very calm, like, civil discussion.
Mm-hmm.
I think that would be lots of fun.
We're very civil. We're very civil.
Fuck you, James.
Yeah.
I'm not civil at all.
Oh, it's okay, man. I deserve this.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, you did.
I'm just happy to be here.
Oh, shut up, James. Stop it. Now you're making me look bad.
Yeah, fair point. You
Now I don't even know what to say. You've Aikio'd me out of this conversation.
know, my civil. I might be too civil.
You civil piece of shit. God damn. Fuck, what was I? Oh, I want to run this idea by you quickly
Yeah.
for like social media videos, like YouTube Shorts and TikToks, where basically, um, do you remember the, do you remember the do you remember the GI Joe PSAs, where it's like GI Joe at the
Oh,
end?
I lived in England. I think when they were happening, I've only seen them on YouTube.
Yeah, but you know what they are, right?
Yeah, okay. I
Okay.
thought you meant they were playing on TV when you were a kid or something.
No, well, I don't think I've no. I think GI Joe is before my time even. I think that's like the 80s. But anyway, that
Okay.
doesn't matter. So basically, what we do is we make shorts, that are like lessons we've learned about indie game development, and we do stuff like, yo, when you're scoping out your first game, make sure to like cut all of the useless stuff out. If not, you'll be deving for 3 years with nothing to show for it. And then we go like, and now you know, and knowing is half the battle. And then it goes like, Jangleman.
Yeah, that could be fun. I think we should just do anything that we feel like.
Because I've been trying to think of a way to package what we're doing into like a short format,
Yeah,
and I haven't been able to think of anything except this, and it sounds like it could be kind of funny.
it could be funny. Should try it. Try it one day.
I'll give it a shot. I'll try to edit some videos if I can at some point.
Yeah, because I think we can. I think there's loads of things we can show. It's just like how do you show it? Like what's the Because you're saying that that one guy, like, he does streams and then he puts like shorts out from his streams. I
Yeah.
don't think that's a bad idea. Uh, I just don't know how to mark the sound bites or know where they are without rewatching the whole thing.
So what he does is because people on Twitch clip him, so they make clips of him, and then he just goes and takes those clips.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's like a function on Twitch where you, as a viewer, if something funny on stream happens, you can go clip it, and then that person just has a bunch of clips.
Oh, you clip it for them and then it just. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so that people can go like view funny clips from that stream.
Yeah,
But you, as the streamer, can go and like retrieve those clips and use them elsewhere. That's what he does.
that's neat. That's
Yeah,
really useful.
yeah, it is. So
And
that's
like
why
people doing work for you.
we need viewers to do that though.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, but
We got viewers as we get better at streaming.
I think so. Um, are you watching? Oh my god. Ah,
I was just looking at the paradox. Um, yeah, okay.
I see your big ass
What?
head. No, it's just small ass head. Now it's a big ass head. It's getting smaller and smaller. Okay, there. Now you're back to normal.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I wanna. Yeah, I think a lot of our growth is gonna come from like pushing community building and like getting a subreddit, getting it like TikTok and YouTube and stuff, and growing a community outside of Twitch that brings people to Twitch.
Yeah, I think so too.
But
I think you're
anyways,
right. I think that'll happen organically, hopefully. If we can, figure out good ways to like talk about meaningful stuff. I think it'll get easier actually once our games get more visual,
yeah,
you know?
yeah,
Like
definitely.
we've been doing a lot of like invisible code work that's not easy to show why it's important,
Mm-hmm.
all right? But now that things are getting more visual, we'll be able to show things at least, um, with our voices over them,
Yeah,
like a voiceover,
yeah.
maybe.
I think it'll become a lot more interesting for viewers and stuff as well. Definitely. But anyways,
Yeah.
I want to see this now. Show me because you have to leave in 45 minutes.
Yeah, that's true. So we can do this for 45 minutes, and it'll be
Yeah,
good because we'll get somewhere and we'll get a little bit of game done.
I'm very
Um,
curious.
so everything. So I think an important rule to understand if you want to understand the way that this architecture is built is that anything that you click that doesn't jump into the packages and jumps to the assets folder is a game specific thing. Okay,
Yep.
and when it's a game specific thing, it means that like when you go into the class, that these things can all be changed if needed, right? These things are all left over right now. These services that I put in here, they're left over from Jank Fatafel.
Okay.
Okay. And so they're not really useful that anymore because I copy pasted Jank Fatafel to make this project,
Gotcha.
and I left a bunch of services and they're like all invalid now. Like they're not really that useful anymore. So part of the work we're gonna have to do is figuring out what's even useful to us in Jank Fatafel and what's, you know, like what's useful to us versus what we just delete and we redo later, you know. So yeah. So anyway, but the first thing that every game starts with is a game container, okay? And the game container is an object that everything that is in the game should go underneath that object. And the reason for this is that when I was talking about that object pooling and object recycling stuff before, the
Mm-hmm.
way that the game manages the objects that are being pulled and stuff is it's dependent on the fact that this game container is aware of everything that's underneath it, right? The reason you have to do this, and the reason that I do it this way, because I find it easier, is because the scene itself is not a game object, right? And so the scene itself, you can't kind of it's not easy to have logic that applies over a hierarchy when that logic needs to happen over the entire scene. Does that make any sense?
you you it's hard to have logic happen over an entire hierarchy of objects when
Yeah,
you
like honestly,
that doesn't make sense. Actually, I'm not sure what you're talking about.
yeah. So so this forms a tree.
Yes.
You know what I'm talking about, right? When I
Yeah,
say that.
I know what a hierarchy is. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. So this forms a tree.
I'm not that dumb.
Maybe this is a tiny detail, but it doesn't really matter. If you want to like operate over everything in a scene,
Uh,
you have to call like scene.current scene.get all game objects and then like operate over those game objects. And
right. Okay.
if you want to like go to every single thing and then
Mhm.
move its position up by one.
Right. Yeah. 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 Yeah.
But I just find it easier to when I'm in game object land to stay in game object land. I don't want to like have to start at scene to get all these game objects to then for each of those game objects go to the children to then for each of those game object children go to their children, so
Oh,
on and so
so so that what you just described only gives you a list of like the all the root objects.
yeah, exactly. It gives you a list of all the root objects, and then if you want to do what I'm doing, you just go to each root object, and then over each root object, you do like a depth, well, what I call a breadth first search, right? Which means like you go, you've, it's the order of visiting. This is a very computer sciencey thing I'm explaining right now, but like this is the root game object. Game is the root game object. And if I do a breadth first search, it means I go to this one, then this one,
Yep.
then this one, then
Mm-hmm.
this one, then 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 this one, then
Yeah,
this
so
one.
it searches every like tier of the hierarchy first.
Exactly. It searches every level.
Yep.
In a depth first, in like by depth. So it does all the depth one things first, all the depth two things first, whatever. No, breadth. Sorry, it does it by breadth. If you do depth first search,
Yeah,
it's the opposite.
it's the opposite.
It
Yeah,
goes
yeah, yeah.
this one, this
Gotcha.
one, this one, this one. You know. Anyway, the point is that because I can write a piece of code that does like this kind of search from a game object, because it is a game object and all of its children are game objects, it makes it easier, right? Because I just recursively do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
If I do it from a scene, it's annoying because I have this extra step where I'm like, okay, you gave me all these game objects, and now for each of those game objects, I have to do a search because I can't do like the breadth first search of the scene because the scene isn't a game object. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. And so, because of this reason, one reason alone, I it's not actually the only reason, but that's the main reason. That's the main thing that pissed me off. Because of that, I was like, fuck it. I'm just gonna put our game entirely within underneath one game object, which has the mono behavior that lets me just do these like full game operations. Okay. The second reason is because now I can run 3 games in parallel. Why would I ever want to do that? Well, machine learning. That's why,
Oh, okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
right? If I want to machine learn this game, it's really nice to be able to copy paste it, okay? And have the game running like 3 times. So there's my 3 games in parallel. They don't actually run yet or do anything. Now, the way that the games work is that you have the game container, okay? And this is sort of like the most important piece. This is the thing that says everything underneath me is the game and is contained in
Game object.
this object,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And then so what you can start to think about is how our games are sort of like we're basically doing operations over a 3D hierarchy. That's basically what we're doing,
Right.
you know?
Right.
And
Gotcha.
it's not more complicated than that. It's just complicated because of the way that we need that hierarchy to change. Okay. Um, the game container has these things called services, and what will happen is the services will be provided to any objects that exist underneath this game container. Okay. And they'll be provided if they want them. And I'm going to explain this by actually like coding something to show you what I'm talking about. So, for example, let's do this. I'm going to get rid of all these services except the prefab service for now. So, get rid of this, get rid of this. Let's not worry about that. Let's get rid of the visual parent. We don't really need it at the moment. Get rid of this. We don't need the grid calculator. Okay, we're going to make the simplest possible game container. I think it's really good that we're doing this because this is forcing me to simplify what's happening, which is going to be useful for testing how well this is actually set up for understandability.
1 second. I'm sorry. Give me 2 seconds.
Okay.
Lev just woke up, I think.
I'll set something up while you're. Yeah. So. She's coming back soon. Yeah, she's coming back soon. You can see.
Okay. Sorry. When Love wakes up, it's an emergency. He needs a pacifier and he needs it quick.
All good. It's totally fine.
He goes back to sleep right away. You know, Tom knows who Eve is now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he calls her Mama now.
What? He can talk?
Yeah. He looked her right in the face and called her Mama.
What?
Yeah.
How long ago was that?
Like yesterday.
Oh, okay, that's like, okay, it's like really recently.
He's been kind of saying it, but it was yesterday was the first time where he like looked at her in the face and he was like, Mama.
She must have. Did she cry? I might have cried.
She didn't cry. She was like, I was just really happy. It's, you know why? Like, I think it's a non-cryable moment because it's so shocking that it happened. You're like, holy crap, I can't believe you just fucking said something, dude. It's a pretty interesting moment because it happens so gradually. So it's like there are very few moments where it's just like a whoa, like, oh, it's magically happened. Like he's been working up saying it for a while now. So we were expecting it to come soon, and then it just kind of happens, and you're like, whoa, you did it.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy.
That must like be such a cool feeling that your kid, the first time your kid starts to speak.
Yeah.
Because that's when you're like, okay, you're gonna be able to start like telling me how you feel.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna be a human soon.
Yeah,
It's
you're gonna
crazy.
start. Yeah, you're gonna start yelling and stuff and telling me your needs.
Yeah, they already yell quite a bit. Yeah, it's crazy. It's really cool.
God, it's so cute.
Yeah.
I can't wait to come see them when I come take pictures for their first birthday.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, I'm excited for that. It's gonna be really cool.
That's gonna be super fun.
Yeah.
I'll bring the lights I have. I'm just worried that they're not strong enough somehow. But if we have the window and it's a nice day, and the day, like the weather works out,
I think we'll be okay.
I just don't have a flash. Like my flash is broken. That's all. I have static lights, but I don't have a big, strong flash. That's the only problem.
Right.
Yeah.
I think we'll be okay.
We'll do what we can, and like if it really doesn't work out, then I'll go rent a flash.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, I think so too. I
Yeah.
always just get a bit. Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
dude, don't
that's
worry.
cool.
Don't. Yeah, yeah. It's gonna be fun. We'll
Do
get
you
some
have a
good pictures.
video? Did you manage to get a video of him speaking yet?
No, no, not really, because it happens so sporadically and
Yeah,
randomly.
I
Um,
figured.
I have lots of videos of them playing together now, though, and it's really funny.
Oh,
I'll
okay.
send you. I'll send you some.
Cool. Like, yeah, I want to see.
Yeah, I'll send you some. It's
They
pretty
must be
crazy.
so much more aware than they were last time I saw them, you know? Like, they
Yeah,
must be, like, so much smarter.
you saw them at Christmas, right?
Yeah, it was a while. It
Oh,
was a few months ago.
fuck, dude. Yeah, they're yeah, yeah. It's a whole yeah. You're gonna be pretty shocked when you see them, I think.
Yeah, I think I will.
Yeah.
Every time I see my friend, I have another friend with a baby, and every time I see the baby, I'm like,
Holy shit.
oh, right, how much is how much more they are suddenly,
Yeah, yeah,
you know?
yeah. Because when you saw them last, they had just started being able to sit up on their own, right?
Yeah.
Fuck, dude, they can stand on their own now. Like they're like almost walking.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
What?
yeah, dude, it's insane. Oh fuck, it's crazy. It goes so fast.
Yeah, it really does, eh? Like when I go back to England, I'm gonna like my cousin has kids, like young kids,
Yeah.
and every time I go back, it's a year that goes by, right? So they're so
Oh my
different.
god. Yeah.
Every
Yeah.
like, the difference between one, two, and three is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nuts. Especially yeah. At that age is like it's yeah. It's yeah. Just the first year is there's so much that happens. It's fucking nuts.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
cool, man.
Yeah. Anyways, you'll see them soon. So yeah.
I will see them soon.
Yeah. Let's get back into this.
Yeah, all good, all good. So yeah. So what was I saying before? So the game container I explained, like it can operate over the hierarchy that is the game. It's useful because AI, mostly. Like, it really is useful because AI mostly. It will be useful as well when like we want to test multiplayer,
Mm-hmm.
if we ever do want to do that. I didn't do it for that reason, but I realize now that like that's actually a use case. It's like if you want to play the game 3 times and have it run the multiplayer, you can do that all locally,
Gotcha.
which is kind of nice. Um, you just make a new container. Um, anyway, and so like I was saying before, uh, when I click stuff and it goes to the assets folder, it means it's something that's specific to the game and not generic, right? What I've done is I've just taken the container and I've given it a single service, okay, prefab service, and I've added that to the object manager, okay? Don't worry too much about what that means, but if we go over to the prefab service here, um, the prefab service is a prefab service object name lookup. Just so you understand what this means, I always name things in order of precedence instead of like the normal way because I find it's easier to find stuff if you do that. Um, so this is an object name lookup prefab service. And what I mean by that is that you get your prefab from the service by looking up the object name. That's all I mean.
Okay.
The way this works is you make a prefab, and you know what? I'll make a test prefab for now. Unless I have a prefab already. Oh, I already do. Yeah, I have this fruit prefab, right? Perfect. Don't worry about these errors. That's shapes. They're just errors for some reason. It doesn't actually break anything.
Okay.
Um, so I have my scriptable objects. I go to my prefab service here, and I drag that in. The way that this service works is when you look up the prefab, it's just going to look up by the name of the prefab. So this prefab's called fruit. So when you look it up, you got to look for fruit, basically.
Gotcha.
Okay. So
And those prefabs are like something you make in the prefab folder.
that's the prefab. It's just like like a normal prefab. I just put
Yeah.
them in the prefab folder.
Okay. And these are just
No, they're in
like
the props folder actually.
right. And these are just prefabs that are like game pieces and stuff or whatever.
Yeah,
Okay.
they're going to be all of the different pieces, all the different 3D pieces that will be used in the game.
Okay.
Basically, are going to be a prefab. So yeah, so we have one prefab fruit. We have the game. we have the game container. It injects this prefab service into the object manager, and then the object manager, what it does is it runs this thing called dependency injection on all of the mono behaviors underneath it. Okay, so anything that's already there, underneath it or on it, I should say. So anything that's already there, it's going to run. Now, the way the game container works as well is it needs this thing called the game runner. Okay? And the game runner is just a thing that has a function that starts the game. That's all it is. And the reason for this, the reason that this is its own thing is because you can have one game container that defines like Jank Kaido, for example, but different game runners where one of them starts up machine learning or another one starts up like a game that a player is intended to play, right?
Right. AI purposes again?
Huh?
This is AI purposes again?
Yeah, again, the reason, and this didn't exist until I had to do the ML.
Gotcha.
I had to change this part. So this makes it easier to do ML stuff, but it probably leads into other things too. Like, there's other things that will benefit from this.
Yep.
So the dependency injection that I was talking about, the way that that works is whenever you put jank inject in front of something, it will try to give that class that thing. Okay?
Yeah.
And that thing, the existence of that thing is determined by the stuff that is given to this object manager. Okay? So if you look, yeah, go on.
So it's, wait, what is this? What are you injecting? I'm that tripped me up there. So
yeah, I'll start it from the beginning. So what I'm injecting right now is a prefab service, and it holds all the prefab.
Okay, right. Yes, sorry.
Yeah, all good. No,
That's
I like this is, you should stop me every time for this kind of stuff. It's really important that.
So it's in the service itself is that scriptable object.
Yeah, exactly. And the reason that I make them scriptable objects is because you can see all the shit in the editor. It makes it easier to.
Are all services always scriptable objects?
They don't have to be, but generally yes.
Okay.
And I try to make them scriptable objects as much as possible.
Okay.
No. And the main reason being that you can see the stuff in editor.
Yeah. Okay.
So I have a prefab service. I gave it free prefab, and then in the game container I say, okay, this game requires prefab service. Okay.
Gotcha. Okay.
Things in this game are going to spawn prefabs, and they have to take it from this list.
Okay.
And then what you do is so I have the game runner, and the game runner, like I said, all it does is it has this run function. Okay. That the game container calls to start the game. Okay.
And you sorry, so back to the injecting. You're injecting all of the services at once in that one line?
Yep.
Okay.
So, no, you mean in this line?
Yeah.
No, I'm injecting just an iState service. Oh, sorry, this is wrong. Prefab service.
Ah, okay. That makes more sense.
Prefabs. Yeah, I see. It's because it's left over, so we just change this.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, there we go. That's better. Okay, so we're going to inject a prefab service, and the way that this works is, I'm not going to show you the code for now. We're just going to assume that it works. But the game container populates a thing called an object manager, and then the object manager allows you to process objects. And when you process those objects, it checks what they need and then gives it to them. That's basically it. So this jank inject means that this game runner needs an iPrefab service. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll actually run the debugger, and we'll just try and run this, and I really hope that this just works right off the bat, because it'll be embarrassing if it doesn't.
All one people watching will know.
Yeah, exactly. All one people being myself.
Oh, is that you? Hi, James.
Yeah. So, oh, I've already got some breakpoints around because I was doing some work on this the other day. Let's go. Okay, so we get to here, and if we look here, oh wow, look magically, I have this prefab service, and how many prefabs are in it? Oh shit, it's one, and what's it called? Oh, it's a fruit, right?
Oh.
So I never set this. It just got set automatically. Okay. Um, and I'm going to show you why this is useful. I think it's important to understand why it's useful, or you, you know, won't like it will feel like it's just in the way, basically. I find that whenever someone puts in complex systems and stuff I'm working on and I don't understand why, I just feel like it's annoying and in the way.
Right. Right.
So let me, I'm gonna just run this again. Automatically, the game provides the iObject manager. That's just something that it does.
What I'm sorry. What is the like the inject, the jank inject? What is that part of the code? Like what did that like one specific word do?
How does it work?
Yeah, like what
Cool.
does the inject part do?
I will show you,
Okay.
and you will be so.
You don't need to sound so excited.
I'm so excited. Yeah, I'm excited because
I don't
like
want to know why you're excited, James.
okay, for sure. I just want one second. I just gotta check something. I always forget something really, really important about this. Because when I create this, I register itself as the iObject manager. Okay, that's good. Cool, cool, cool. Oops, I don't know why it's beeping at me. So, what does this do? What
Yeah.
this does is nothing, actually, on its own. On its own, if you go to its definition, it's just an attribute. And an attribute is literally just, it's just a marker. It's like a tag. Back up. Oh, it's because I'm on a Mac and I don't know the hotkeys. Okay, what's that? Ooh, ooh, ooh. So on its own, it doesn't do anything, but I wrote these things called source generators that automatically generate code for you. Okay.
Oh, okay. I see. I see.
And so, and actually, this will probably clear it up. In Writer, if you go to the Explorer and you go up here, it's in Unity mode right now, so you
Uh-huh.
can't see everything. But if you go to solution mode, you can see source generators. And so in solution mode, in under dependencies, you can go to the source generators tab and it shows you code that's automatically generated for you. Okay. And there's the Jank injectable generator that if you go underneath it will have a counterpart, a generated counterpart to the thing that you're injecting. So this is called game runner. And so in Jank injectable generator, you've got game runner.injectable. Okay. The reason I do this is because I get tired of writing code. I just want to write less. So if I go into here, basically this thing has this. It has a thing called an iInjectable. I'm not sure why it's not coloring it in, but it's fine. Whatever, we'll just read it. Which has a function called inject, where you give it an object manager, and then it goes set my object manager to this, which is just object manager dot singles type of iObject manager. I know that might look complicated, but it's basically just a lookup in a dictionary. So it just looks up the thing in a dictionary
Hmm.
and sets your object manager to it. It does the same thing for prefab service.
Right.
And then it processes them. I'm not sure why. I can't remember why. That seemed wrong to me actually. And I might delete that from the generator later. Um, and then it calls then here is just like gives you a way like after injection to do something. So you know what? Why don't I actually share how that part works too? Um, so in the injection kind of code, if I go I post jank inject, that gives me a function to implement post inject. And if I do this, what should happen is after the injection occurs, it should call this function, and this function will just be I just got injected. Okay, so go to that, just got injected. So
I don't know why that sounds funny to me.
I, it sounds funny to me too. It
Okay,
makes me, it
good.
reminds me of those fucking weird like those weird like alien dildo things. I don't know.
Excuse me.
You know what I'm talking about?
I want to Google it, but I don't.
You actually don't know what I'm talking about? There's like those alien, they're like sex toys, but they're like
Oh, okay.
they lay eggs inside you.
Wait. They lay eggs inside you?
Yeah. They have these so
Ooh.
they can yeah, it's like this whole thing. Like they're like tentacles. It's like kind of tentacle porn related, but like it's like a tentacle that like has this egg that's just sort of like, I don't know, it's food safe, I guess, so it just doesn't really, I don't know what it's made of, to be honest, but like, and then it like pushes it out because like, you know, some
Okay.
people like the
Oh,
like
what the
like the feeling of having eggs laid inside them.
bro? Okay. I've heard of alien dildos. I did not know that they had.
You didn't notice?
I
Yeah, it's fully a thing.
Dude, this one is called. This one is called an illithid ovipositor dildo.
Yeah, they have names like that.
What the fuck,
Yeah,
dude?
man, it's fully a thing. Like people are into this.
Why
Like,
is this one shaped as Darth Vader? What the fuck?
you, you know, people are into this. I don't know.
I'm not shaming them. I just maybe a little
It's
bit.
funny.
It's hilarious. I love this kind of shit.
The internet.
The breeder dildo.
The future we live in. What is possible now?
What a wonderful world.
Yeah,
This
I think it's so cool.
a
I think it's
green
so funny.
a green ogre dildo. Okay, I have to get off. I have to stop this. I have to stop this. Continue teaching me stuff. I
Yeah.
can't keep looking at dildos.
Oh goodness. Oh, goodness. So yeah, and so in the way that my system works, if you what do you call it? If you inherit from this interface, then you get this function that you gets called after injection. Okay. Um,
Mhm.
and everything here gets automatically injected if it exists. Okay. If it doesn't exist, I think it throws an error. You shouldn't really inject anything that doesn't exist ever. But
Okay.
okay. So I forgot to put it in this mode, so let me just do this. Put it in debug mode so that we hit the breakpoint. So I just got injected. What? Why does it happen twice? That's interesting. I'll have to look into that. It probably
Because
should
you
happen twice.
you're injecting two things. No.
Oh yeah, no, I am, but it should happen after all the injection.
Oh.
Right. So it doesn't matter that it's happening twice. It's not gonna break anything. So I have the object manager now. Okay.
Mhm.
And I have the prefab service. Okay.
Yes.
Cool. So that's great. And then we get into this run, and we're not actually going to use run to run the game. I'm just going to use run to like prove what's going on with these with the injection and the whole container setup. But the concepts we just talked about, like the container and the dependency stuff, that's the main thing that happens when the game starts, right?
Right.
Is just like we inject all of the like pieces that we need, and then the game runner, right? Like now it can use the prefab service. So what I could do is I can say, just not to confuse you, I won't use the object manager for now. The instantiate prefab service dot try get prefab. Okay, so we gotta do it that way. That's fine. If prefab service dot try get prefab of fruit like this. Yeah. Oh my god, what have I done? I have new hot. I like recently tried to use Vim, and I fucked up some of the hotkeys on my thing, so I can't figure out where Control Z is anymore.
That like the most crucial hotkey.
Yeah, it really is, and it's really freaking annoying. I don't know why I cannot find it anymore. There's Z.
Okay, we found Z.
Yeah, I found Z.
Now we just need to find control.
Why can't crazy? Oh, I don't know. It's because I'm on my anyway. Just don't worry about it.
I am worried about it, James.
Back here. Okay, he's two parameters. What's the other parameter? it needs out game. Okay, that makes sense. Out game object prefab. Yeah, this is how you call it. This is just how it works. And then you're here like this, and then you say instantiate prefab. Okay. Cool. So this is just an example of like using a service.
Wait, why don't you need the brackets?
Oh, because if you only have one line under an if statement, you don't need the brackets.
How did I not know that? Okay.
Yeah, it makes it cleaner. Yeah, so this is just an example of using a service. I do try get prefab because you don't know if it's going to exist.
Yeah.
Basically. And so if it didn't exist, you could go like else,
Yeah, right.
Whatever.
When you do out game object, does that mean it's returning the game object?
Yeah, this syntax here in C# is a way to return more than one thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the function itself sets this. So this is like a second return value because if you look at the function signature, it returns a bool.
Okay.
So the way this works is it literally returns true or false, but also populates this variable, which can then be used within the scope.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Very useful, that kind of line, because a lot happens in one line that would normally take like 5.
Because that means so the out automatically populates that.
Yeah, like this function populates that variable, even though you're passing it in.
Okay, I think I get it. Yeah.
So I'll show you something quick. Prefab here. So if I had prefab there like that, I'd have to do it like this. Okay? But so I'd have to declare the variable and then pass in the variable I want it to set for me into the argument.
Still using the out?
Yeah. But there's a special syntactic sugar in C# that lets you just do it like this.
Oh, okay. Right. I see.
So this like creates the variable for you.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Anyway, so we do that, instantiate the prefab fruit. Okay, cool. So let's just let it recompile, and then I'll show you what it looks like. Okay. Boom.
Hey.
There's my fruit,
Some
right?
fruits.
Okay, great. Cool.
We like
So that's
fruit.
good. Now, the reason this is cool is because if ever you want to change the prefab for fruit anywhere in the game, you just go to the service and you just change the fruit. Right? So
If you change
maybe
that to
I have-
something else, will it not work?
Well, like because of the way that particular prefab service works, it needs to have the same name.
Right. Yeah.
Like,
So
but there's other ways to do the prefab lookup. It's just like the way that I had done it in that particular case was
gotcha.
like that.
So if you wanted to make a different fruit.
Yeah, I want to make a different fruit. So this is my other fruit. Fruits. Like those. We can have prefabs with the same name and assets. It's fine. Not a problem. So I do that there.
Oh,
like
no, that should be fine. We'll be able to tell what's going on.
Oh, I should probably delete that fruit.
That's gonna give us a false positive if you don't.
Here we go. It's been fun.
Now we'll never know if it worked.
Now we never know if it worked. We have no idea. Did it work? I don't know.
Oh.
Try this one. Cool. There you go. Right. So simple as that.
Wow. Okay.
So what that lets us do is like now everywhere that I create a fruit in my game, it just is based on this one thing at the top, right? Which makes it really easy for you to change it out,
Gotcha.
right? And that's how you'll. But to be honest, like if you're gonna change these things, you'll either switch them out for other prefabs and then have like old version and then new version,
Or just change the prefab itself.
or just change the prefab itself. So you can do either thing
Yeah, makes sense.
depending on what you want to do.
That's,
Now,
okay.
now then, what I wanted to show you was, okay, so we have the prefab service here. This might change the prop service eventually, because we have a bit of a system now to do with how props work. So we might not even have prefabs. We might just like give props directly, and so we know we can load them and unload them and all that kind of thing. But so I'm gonna give that fruit for it, and we're gonna instantiate it. But instead of doing instantiate, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do object manager dot oh yeah, I moved this around. Give me a sec. Let me just find it. Object manager, because the object manager is both an object manager and an object pool. Okay, so that's fine. And so I think what I'm actually going to do, bear with me, is I'm going to change the base code very slightly because I realized that I made a change the other day, and it might actually benefit from this going to here. Because right now the object manager, when it's created, it adds itself as a dependency, which is this register single thing is how you add things to that can be injected. But what I want to do is I also want to add an object pool, because it does two things now. It's both an object pool and an object manager. And the object pool is a little bit different. The object manager is what does the dependency stuff. The object pool is what lets us recycle stuff. You know, I was talking about that recycling before.
Yeah. I'm not sure what you just did, but...
yeah, don't worry about it.
Okay. Okay, I won't. Alright, good.
Why?
I was really worried for a moment there, but now you've alleviated my pressure.
I'm glad. Oh, signals. Oh, quit. Okay, don't worry about this. Don't worry about what I'm doing right now. Okay, there we go. Cool. So instead of doing instantiate, I'm now doing object pool.supply prefab signals quit. Okay. And what this does is the object pool instantiates the thing for us, but it starts to manage it in this special way where it recycles it. So I'll show you this recycling code, how this recycling works and how you can visualize it so that you have a visual on what's going on. And then we'll start.
Okay.
So we have the game, and then we have the fruit clone right here. Okay. So that fruit clone was created using that, using this object pool.supply thing. Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to think about this. How can I do this? I just want to show you. So what does supply give us back? It gives back a game object, right? Yeah, so game object, PO, here. I'm just trying to get into a place where we can start like manipulating this game object. This, quick override, async, sync unitask, get rid of this now. Cool, and then we can use Odin, which is very useful to create a button and say void. Instantiate, recycle, I should say. Recycle. There you go, and then we'll say await. We'll do this. Yeah. Async unitask. Recycle. Await. Object pool dot return. Go. Yes, like this. Let's say. But async unitask wide. Oh, I guess that isn't actually asynchronous. I guess it's just so simple that it doesn't need to run asynchronously. That's fine. And then you know you can do this too, right?
Lambda.
Oh my god, where's my equal sign?
You got rid of the equal sign too, you fucking bastard.
I changed all the freaking places of stuff on my keyboard.
Well,
I guess.
stop doing that. Why?
Well, I
You're
will
making
when it's all in the right place.
you're making it confusing for all three of our viewers now because they have normal people keyboards. Okay.
Yeah, okay, I'm sorry my keyboard's so crazy that I don't even know how to use it.
Yeah, you're goddamn right.
It stresses people at work, that's all that matters.
do people come to your desk and they go like, "Whoa, cool"?
Yeah. And then I'm like, then I make sure I don't type near them, so.
So they don't immediately lose all respect.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Maybe I'll make
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah, this is just this is a really fast example of what I'm doing here. Okay, we got through it. So, this should provide me with some buttons now that I can use, and I can kind of try to show you what's going on here, assuming it works. Like maybe it just won't work. So we have recycle and redo. That's nice.
Song of my people, assuming it works.
And then we do this. We press play, and then it creates. The object manager instantiates a fruit for me. Okay. And then if I recycle it, it disappears. And underneath the object manager, disabled, we have fruit.
Hey.
Right? But it's disabled, and you don't know what it is. And then when you invoke it, when you redo the cloning, it should recreate it. There we are. So it recreates it, right? And it was supposed to take the one that was there, but it didn't. So I'll have to test out why that's happening. Any reason I can think of why that's happening? No, that should have worked. So yeah. Anyway, it used to work. I don't know why that's not working. I'll have to debug that. But basically, what it's supposed to do is take that like disabled one and like just use that instead of instantiating a new one.
It didn't. It created a new one. It didn't.
Yeah, I created a completely new one, but it should have done that.
Oh, okay, I see.
But that's okay. Let's not worry about that, because there's another thing I want to show you with this. So, because it's a token, we know that our fruit is a certain kind of thing, right? So let me show you. So we know that our fruit is a certain kind of thing, and it's a simple token, and a simple token is a token with the data color. Okay, so that's the data it uses to load.
Yes.
So what I can do.
Oh, Jesus.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I've lost where I was trying to go. I was trying to go here. It's the game. So we know it's a token of type color. So what we can do is we can say a token of type color col equals go dot get component a token of type color, like so. And then we can say col dot load await col dot load load with data ut color. That's just my like color utilities.
Right.
Oh, ut random, I should say. Ut random is my random utilities. I want a random color with random alpha set to false, and then cancellation. It's fine. Cool.
What is the cancellation token?
Cancellation token is a way to cancel asynchronous stuff. I wouldn't worry about that for now. I can explain that another day, but
okay.
Let's not get into it.
I won't worry about it. I'll sleep well tonight again.
But
I almost didn't sleep tonight. Thank you for telling me not to worry about it.
you're welcome.
Because I was really stressed out for a second there. I'm going to keep hammering on this joke. Oh, wait, what the fuck just happened?
Working.
There's like 20 of them.
Yeah. Cool. So that's, I was just testing if the buttons were working.
Oh, did you just click the button like 20 times?
Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, I can't see that shit. I didn't notice. It
Oh
looked
yeah,
like there was a bug.
so we did this, we did that, and then we recycle. And then it goes into there, and then we say redo. And then when we say redo, it creates a new one. At least it's supposed to. Okay, one. Okay, and then we recycle it. We create a new one. Doesn't seem to go the first time I click it. I don't know what that's all about. Anyway, so yeah. So you see, every time it's coming out with a different color.
Yes.
That's just because of the virtue of the fact that it's a token, and tokens are visuals that load with colors, basically. I'm wondering why the hell it doesn't do the thing properly, and I can totally figure it out. It should be very easy to actually. Just have to do this though.
Oh, I can't stop yawning.
It's okay. I'm almost done.
No, it's
I know,
okay.
boring.
You're not boring. It's my children who keep me up all hours of the night.
You know. So you see how this got recycled?
Yes.
What should happen is when I press invoke here. Yeah. For some reason, the first time I press invoke, it doesn't ever. It doesn't.
Ah. Ah.
Sorry. How I work? Okay, I bounce between screens all the time. So I got the debugger on for real this time, so I can do this one more time. Yeah, that's Unity. Don't worry about that.
What's Unity?
Like, it threw an exception for no reason.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, don't worry about that. Okay, so
Thanks,
this all
Unity.
started up. This is great. We recycle this guy, and we invoke here. And we get to this point, okay? And then what's supposed to happen is I'm supposed to be able to go into supply, get out of there, go into supply, and then it's going to say pool.supply, okay? This is my prefab, for prefab. Oh. Oh. Wait, what? I think I know why. Did I do this wrong? No. That should be correct. So we have this prefab here. Anyway, so let's go on. Let's go one more down. Supply. And this is what it does. It says, does the Go pool contain the key, this prefab? And the answer should be yes. Because the prefab would be the same as the prefab in this pool. You know what I mean? That should be that. They look the same to me.
So it's just as long as it's the same type of prefab.
They should be not the same type. They should be literally the same prefab. So let's see if this is true. This is the cool thing about the debugger. You can like type code on the go.
Wait, so wait, am I understanding the recycling process properly? Does it like does it reuse the same object in the same context, or does it like reuse a prefab like elsewhere?
It doesn't reuse a prefab. It reuses an instance made of that prefab already.
Okay, right.
Right. So like you can have the prefab instantiated 10 times, and then if like let's say there's only ever 3 of a prefab no, what am I trying to say? The amount of instances that will be created will be a maximum amount of instances on the screen at one time, right? So if there's 10 instances of a prefab on the screen at a certain point, there'll only ever be 10 instances of that thing, even if it keeps getting destroyed and re-added. Right?
Okay.
But this should work because the equals work. So this is saying if it doesn't contain the key, which it shouldn't, so it doesn't. And then it says if go pool at position prefab.count is 0, which is not true, look. It's got a value of 1 because there's 1 that's been recycled. So, oh wait, 1. Okay, yeah, so that makes sense. And then we say, okay, well give me the first instance. That makes sense. Give me the first instance. Then remove it. Fine, that makes sense. Then add it to the used file. That makes sense. And then it says get all of the manageable objects and, clear them, that's fine. Okay, that's good. And so we return that instance here. Cool. So that instance should be the one that was already there. Okay, so that makes total sense. That seemed to have worked, actually. That did exactly what I thought it was going to do. So Go should be set to that now. Okay. Oh, I see. I see what's happening. That's funny. I think it was actually working. I think it was just not like moving it or anything like that. So I think what I have to do, and we can stop in a sec. I just get obsessed with these things sometimes.
It's okay.
Is-
I forgive
see if
you.
this- What'd you say?
I said I forgive you.
Oh, thank you. No, set parent this transform. So I'm just gonna move it out and then enable it. Set active. If I do this,
So what it should have been doing originally?
I think door. Yeah, I think it probably should. That should probably be built into the game, like the object manager maybe,
Yeah, it
or the
seems like
object
it.
pool. I'm not sure where that belongs. If
Right.
if I'm right,
Yeah.
because I guess if it gives you back the game object but like doesn't set it enabled, maybe that's doesn't make sense. I'm not sure. Maybe you should have the choice. So I recycle it, and then it's under the object manager, and then I invoke the thing, and then yeah, it's back. Look, and then I recycle it, and then I invoke it, and then I recycle it, and then I invoke it. So to us, it feels like, oh look, we're just creating an object over and over, but we're not. There's only one object.
Cool.
It just keeps getting reset and recycled, right? If I invoke it a few times, there can be 3 of them. I can't recycle them all because I didn't make the code do that. But you kind of get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so this is like these are the fundamentals of our system, basically.
Okay.
Yeah. In the sense that I'll stop sharing my screen now. In the sense that all of our games, like we start at the game container and then it provides these services. Like it provides a list of services that we create, and it provides the object management and dependency injection, right? And
Yep.
based on these 3 things at the top, it makes it very easy for us to like make our games more modular and make our game code underneath structured really nicely.
And then we could
That
just
makes-
like do whatever we need on top.
Yeah, and I think next stream, I think we could do with doing this again, because the second piece of this is the state machines, and that's where
Yeah.
it gets really cool.
Okay.
That's where the game logic lives,
Yes.
you know.
Yeah. Totally.
So we can talk about the cancellation tokens and why they're there and like all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. I see. Okay. Cool. Well,
Sweet.
I guess I'll talk to you later then.
Yeah, I guess we'll end the stream now.
Yeah.
And yeah, this has been a good session. I think this was useful for both of us actually.
Yeah.
And hopefully by next week I'll have some sort of like game state running, like games logic running. I mean.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah. Yeah, we can talk about design direction as well.
Yeah.
If you have a bit more time. If not, we'll do it the stream after there.
Yeah. Part of me wants to implement my design. Then you explain your design direction. Then we see how easy it is to pivot.
Okay, that'd be really fun. I think. Yeah, that's a good
It'll be
idea.
a good exercise.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I should go sleep. I'm dead.
All right, cool. Go to sleep. Get your rest.
Yep.
I'll see you next week.
Yep. Bye bye.